swing sometimes and you think, what? This is self-inflicted. Why am I doing this to myself?
I
What
know,
have I
I know.
put myself in this position for?
My mum had never seen me till last week, after all the years I've been going.
Really?
Yeah, and only because she wanted to see someone else on the bill. You got a comedians that you looked up to? Or?
Stand-up ones?
Yeah.
Viv G.
I knew you! Because it was in Scarborough, I was going, I am from Scotland! I tossed the keyboard before I have my porridge! I was talking like that, and I won this. Hello, I'm Viv G. I'm with Alana Jackson here today, and we are talking to the Glasgow International Comedy Festival about us, about comedy. Because you just won Don't You Think You're Funny, which is incredible.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you won that?
Surprised, to be honest, But yeah, no, I was over the moon. And
so you didn't have like a speech ready? Well, I want to thank...
No, I didn't, and I wish that I had, because I did come out after it and they gave me the microphone, and then I done like a 5-minute ramble. Just I can't even watch. There's a clip of it and I can't even watch it because I'm just talking absolute nonsense.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But it was great. And yeah. So
I was in the final of that in 1993.
Right.
And I didn't know till the day, because there wasn't mobile phones and things, and they realised they didn't have a woman. And I'd been in the semi-final and I bumped into someone else in the final just accidentally, and they went, "You're in the final today." And I went, "Am I?" And they went, yeah, they've been looking for you. And so I turned up, they went, yeah, you're in the final. And I did it, and I was terrible.
Well, good job you bumped into that person. Or you
I know.
wouldn't have known.
And that was when Dylan Moran won.
Oh,
and,
right,
Yeah, I'm embarrassed. I was much more of a poet then,
right.
if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's harder to do it now, and you won it with more people in it.
Well, I don't know how many there was in it, but because they had the heats, the first heats are all, so with the Glasgow, Edinburgh, I done mine in London, and but it's also nice it's quite a nice platform to meet other comedians that are kind of new to the circuit as well, because I'm in touch with everyone that was in my first heat, and you make wee friends, and then you're in the semi-finals, and it's nice, it's a kind of journey that you, without making it sound too, whatever, but it is a nice way to meet people that are new on the circuit, and it's good fun.
No, it's great, isn't it? Because that's what I love about comedy, is that even when I'm teaching comedy, is you meet somebody that's like 80 and there's somebody else that's like, I don't know, a 50-year-old lawyer and a 16-year-old student, and they've got this connection.
So when did you start teaching comedy?
So I started teaching it in 1998. Again, just falling into things, Someone asked me to do it, and I thought, who am I to teach comedy? I'd been doing it 4 years properly. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, mind you, if I was busier and famous, I wouldn't have the time. So maybe I should do it. And it's like, if you've done drama workshops, you think, I'll just add comedy into that. And then read lots of books and tried it out.
Because you started as an actor as well, and then
like
fell into stand-up.
Yes.
So what do you, because I always say that there's pros and cons to that.
Oh, yes.
Pros being that when you start stand-up, you've been on a stage loads, you've already got that experience. Cons being that, like, if you're doing a play on stage, you're taught to just ignore the audience and like whatever's going on out there, just keep going, just say the lines, just keep it moving. But stand-up's so much more, like the audience are so much more part of the interaction, and you need to like be able to like pick up on stuff. And I'm still finding my feet with that. How do you deal with like making the audience a part of the act?
I felt it harder going back to any acting.
Oh, really?
I found I thought, oh my God, the audience is there. I can't eyeball them. I've got to treat them like a fourth wall.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like doing everything like this.
Oh God.
Because in stand-up, of course, you're right. You make it look like you're talking to people.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. There's that.
That's so true. I haven't thought about that.
It's strange, isn't it? It's a weird...
Yeah.
Because I'd been at college and I wasn't well, and I was out of it for 3 years, and I did tiny bits of stand-up. This is how I started it. And then I went back to finish the course at RCS, as it is now, where you went, and they gave me a tiny part to get back into it, and I couldn't... it was freaking me out, because I just saw my mum and dad want to go, all right, Mum.
Because you started doing stand-up?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So my whole way of looking at it...
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
Oh, I don't think I've done enough stand-up yet to way the two of them up, but I think they're totally different.
Yeah,
Totally different, and I think they bleed into each other and they help, like skills help both.
Yes.
But I feel like I'm a different performer as a stand-up than an actor.
But
do you know what I mean?
people can get to know you, because as an actor,
Yeah.
it's other people's words, other people's direction. It's nice to be able to express yourself in
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But it's also finding your feet with what that voice is, and I think I'm still finding that because I'm still new, massively new, and because even before So You Think You're Funny, I mean, I'd only done a handful of gigs in Glasgow, and then I moved to London last year. Plan was to keep the momentum going.
Yeah.
Didn't. And so I only started gigging again at the start of this year, and then I got an acting job. So I was away from April to July, so I couldn't gig for 3 months.
Yes, I've been there. Yeah.
So do you know? So in a way, well, when I was doing So You Think You're Funny, I was worried about that because I felt really underprepared and I hadn't got many gigs to like try stuff out. Looking back now, I'm pleased that's the way it went, because I think if I'd had more opportunity to like write stuff and try it out, I just ended up overthinking it. I had my 5 minutes, and that's what I went with for So You Think You're Funny.
Yeah.
And now that I've come out of it and I am gigging more and I'm getting properly into it, I've realised that you can really. I sometimes think the more that you do, the more that you overthink it, and the more that you start to. Do you
I know
what I mean?
I'm completely with you. And the good thing about it is when it's 5 minutes, you're definitely going to overthink it because it's a small amount of time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But when you're maybe going to write an hour, which you're going to have to do soon,
Gotta get a move on.
then you do gigs because you get your best jokes while you're performing.
Yeah.
Because the comedy fairy comes to you.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
things come out.
That's true.
So I know what you mean, because when I've done competitions, I usually always perform worse than I would have in a gig.
Because
I'm thinking, oh my God, it's a competition. Yeah. So, that's great. Yeah.
So what made you get into stand-up comedy then? What was did you see someone doing it and you were inspired, or was it just something that you
No,
always...
I'd sort of written funny poems and done them at gigs. And then I'd been at drama college. I wasn't well and I'd had to drop out. And someone asked me if I'd come and do a comedy gig. And so I managed to go and do it sitting down for 5 minutes, because they said, come and do your funny poems. Mm-hmm. And out of that gig, I think it was Ford Kiernan was there, Vladimir McTavish, and a guy called Billy Bonkers. And all three of them gave me gigs.
Brilliant.
And so next thing I knew, I got gigs. And because there's less people doing it then you get gig at a gig, and there was just no social media. Then before I knew it, I thought, I'm really enjoying this. It's something I could do sort of 5-10 minutes every week or something. And before I knew it, I was getting more and more into it. How about you though? How?
I don't really know. People had always kind of suggested it. When I was at drama school as well, like lecturers and stuff had said we thought about stand up, and I always said no to it, but deep down I always fancied it. I was just terrified of it. I thought that's absolutely terrifying, and it is. But I think I needed something that I could kind of do for myself, because you know what it's like. Acting is, you kind of, I feel like you have to put your career into the hands of a lot of people.
Yes.
And
yes.
You're waiting for the phone to ring for an audition or whatever, and you kind of feel like you don't have much control over your own career. And I think stand-up was something that I could do for myself. I could turn up to open mic nights, turn up to gigs, write for myself, and it was just something that I could get control of. And it was a creative output whilst I was,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm glad I did, but it was...
You probably find this as well, as when you do a show, like you went and did a show, didn't you? Say you went away for 3 months or something?
Yeah.
When you finish that, you get this complete depression and adrenaline withdrawal. But the brilliant thing about doing gigging as well is you can keep the adrenaline going by doing a gig.
Yeah, 3-4 times a week. There's always something.
You can pick one up anytime you like. But actors have to wait in the next job.
Yeah.
But when you've got that other outlet.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And so when you started stand up, because you said it was whilst you were at drama school, so that was
so I started
90s.
I started it like was it 90? So 94 proper, I would have said I started. So I sort of so 94 probably.
So what was the scene like back then, especially for women in comedy? Because I think nowadays there's loads of women doing stand up comedy, but maybe
funny enough, I started emceeing in this very room, Blackfriars.
Really?
Yeah, this was like the home of comedy, basically, the
Yeah.
comic club it was. And we used to do comedy away at the other end and stuff. And it was, what was it like? I think I don't envy you now starting at this age because it's a different game with the social media and having to sell yourself.
Yeah.
I found, right, if I thought I haven't had a gig for a while, I'd walk down Byres Road and bump into someone, get a gig.
Really?
That was it. It was crazy. Honestly, you didn't. Or you'd write a
That's
letter.
brilliant, though. I wish it was like that now.
It was weird. Just like, oh, I forgot what you're up
Yeah.
to. Or you just go to a gig. Do you know what I mean? Hang
Yeah,
about
yeah.
and this kind of thing. But
Yeah.
you looked at the List magazine. The List would
Right.
tell you gigs that were going on
Oh
and
my
things.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, when did you realise you were funny? I mean, you said at college that the sort of tutor said things, but did you realise before that, would you say?
I don't know. I think maybe always at school I would, and just in your friendship groups and like socially,
Yeah.
I was always probably the one that had the most to say and most stories to tell.
Yeah.
And I come from a funny family. I
Right.
think everyone in my family has a brilliant sense of humour. No one's like in the industry or professional or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but everyone's got really natural comic timing. Everyone's got amazing stories. So I've kind of grown up surrounded by quick wit and
Aye,
you
and
know,
you, because you're
just-
Glaswegian. Glaswegians are naturally funny.
yeah,
You're lucky
yeah.
you've got that edge.
I know. I think some of the best stand-up I've seen is like in a pub in the East End of Glasgow, just someone
know,
telling a
I know.
story. But it's true, and I think I didn't actually appreciate that until I went to drama school, because that was the first time that I was surrounded by
Aye.
people that weren't from Glasgow, and everyone was here in my home city and just taken on by the people and the,
Yeah, yeah.
so probably at school, and then yeah, but I kind of grew up watching like Catherine. Did you ever watch Catherine Tate?
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah, yeah.
obsessed with Catherine Tate because she made the stand up into
Yeah,
acting,
yeah.
and she brought it all together with these like hilarious characters. I could quote it. I probably still could quote her now.
Because that'd be perfect for you, wouldn't it? The acting, the stand-up, the mesh,
Well,
the
that's
character.
the plan, but
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Aye.
What about you? How did you find out you had funny
See,
bones?
I was thinking about this, right? And the family thing, yeah, because they kind of I was really plucky, do you know what I mean? And so you always had to go, you had a comeback when
Yeah,
people
yeah.
slagged you or something.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it, my mum was telling me this, because I was asking her, I says, Mum, do you remember me being funny? And she went, oh, we were at Butlins. And I was 10, and my brothers ran into the room and went, you've got to come and quick, Vivian's on the stage. And so they ran down, and it was like Miss Personality, it was called. And they went to me and they asked me things, and I went, aye, because it was in Scarborough. I was going, I am from Scotland. I tossed the keyboard before I have my porridge. I was talking like that. And I won this Miss Personality.
brilliant.
And my mum says, I think that's when, but you know that way, it's like
And that's where it all began.
it's when it all
Scarborough.
began. Yeah. And then it's like a drug though, isn't it? You just, that
Yeah.
laughter thing makes you want to do it more,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
totally.
I mean, what inspires you? Where did you get like material from? Would you say family then? Or
Yeah, I think my friend asked me this the other day. Actually, she was like, where do you come up with this stuff?" And I think it's just, if you're telling someone a story and they laugh, and you're like, right, maybe I can use this, and it grows arms and legs. Like, it's never the full truth.
Yes,
but it's
yes.
just something that's happened in life, and you embellish it for stage. I think.
Do you though sometimes want things to happen to you so you can
Kind of,
use it?
yeah.
Like
Sometimes I'm walking around the streets and I'm like, can someone give me something?
something funny, just
Yeah. But I think
Yeah.
just like talking to yourself, which maybe is
Yeah.
not wise to admit. But I'll like go out a walk, just talk, but I'll pretend that I'm sending someone a voice note so I don't get locked
really?
up. Yeah,
That's a good way of doing it. I never
yeah.
thought of that.
But it's
actually.
just to like get words out and then see if anything.
Yeah.
Do you get any techniques, or what's your process?
I find, right, that I've been using my car a lot, right, going places, and then I thought, I'm leaving the car, I got in the bus, comedy already.
Yeah,
Sitting on the bus, listening to what people say,
Yeah.
and it's just, someone's going to come out with something that's just like, I just remember hearing this school kid say to this other kid, the kid came on the bus, and this girl went, "Oi, you, yeah, jacket." I thought, how's a jacket? And
An
insult.
insult.
And funny and Glaswegian. I just thought, what is it with? How do
that
they
was
just
brilliant.
have that way?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think when you start looking for comedy, you find it, don't you? Because you're now thinking that way, or how
Yeah.
can that
How can you turn
bus
that into...
splashing me at the in the puddle be funny? And
Yeah,
what kind
totally.
of, it's that kind of thing.
Was there not someone said the best thing you can do is take your earphones out?
Yeah, I
Like
would.
if you're on the train or the bus or walking down the street or whatever, and just be open to like finding...
But on your train, you had all the football fans. Keep them in.
yeah. Sometimes just keep them in.
Yeah.
So have you always wanted to be a comedian or an actor, or what, when you were a kid? What was your dream job?
So I wanted to be an actor because my mum used to say, "You're such an actress, you're such an actress." You know, but it was an insult, and I thought, oh, maybe I am. But I had all these different things. I wanted to be in the Olympics running, and I did want to be an actor though from I think ages 10, 11, 12. And then all you can see is maybe going to drama college. But I never thought past it. I just thought, I'll go to drama college, it'd be brilliant. And I never thought, oh, what then?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in my mid-50s now, and I'm still kind of thinking, what do I want to do? There's still... And then you realize, I've got less time than I had behind me.
I think that's part of the fun of this, like, kind of career, though, is that it's always changing. Even if you know, you can... I don't know, I'm still at the start very much, but I think you could be an actress for 60 years and your career changes a million times within that.
I think it's interesting you should say that, actually, because what I like about comedy is that you can be a comedian at any age. And I have found that the older I've got, the funnier things I've got to talk about to do with me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I can talk about body stuff and aging stuff.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I talked about aging stuff when I was 28. And people must have thought, get it. Do you know what I mean? Because then you think, I'm 20, I'm going to be there. And then it's been happening all the time. And now I actually can own it, if you know what I mean. But with acting, it's like, you're on Genu or the pal, nothing, mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just feels... Yeah. And I'm up for parts as a mum with people that are just a little bit older than you. And you're just like, how can...
What's the...
Yeah. But in stand-up, it's that individual, isn't it? That's what I love about it.
Yeah, and you can totally control that. I think that's what's...
Exactly. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
I've always wanted to be an actor.
Oh, have you?
I think for as far as I can remember. And it wasn't even... Like, I don't even remember making it a conscious decision and being like, right, this is what I'm going to do. It's just, my mum put me into... Because I'm an only child.
Right.
I don't know if you can tell.
You can't tell, actually.
My mum put me into, like, wee theatre classes when I was 4 or 5, just to make friends, and just, it was like a social thing, and it's just stuck. And then I think there was a couple of weeks in 6th year at high school, and I'd applied for drama school, and I was like, right, if I don't get in, I was going to go and do law.
Wow.
So I'm glad I got into drama school, because law is hard work. Drama school is hard work as well, of course. But that was the only time that I've ever considered anything else. And yeah,
I think it's because you know you're good at it, though, don't you? You know, there's a just, it's not showing off or anything. It's just like, I feel I can do this.
Yeah,
and it feels like that with comedy.
Yeah, I think I've always said, like, I'll turn away from it when I know that there's nothing left in it.
Right,
do you know what I mean? But I've always felt like I'm just going to keep going, because I think there's something that I can get out of it.
I think the discipline as well of you being an actor is good for stand-up, because you're going to have to start writing a show. You're doing the comedy festival, aren't you?
Yes.
The Glasgow International Comedy Festival.
That's
and all
this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that discipline about, you know, knowing how... What I like about... I did a double act for a while, and what's hard about doing a double act with stand-up is they don't get about shift of focus if they've not done acting.
Right.
They don't... You know, when you're an actor, you can't upstage because they're... But when you're a stand-up on your own, you're all about upstage. You're about yourself.
Yeah.
But when you perform another stand-up comedian, when you're talking, they're still about them. So it's good to have that discipline.
That's true, actually. I never thought about that.
So what do you think your show's going to be about?
Well, do you know what? I've spoke to some people and spoke about maybe merging it with, like, some character stuff.
See, that's a great idea.
I think I fancy that, because I'd still keep it as stand-up and then maybe merge some... I don't know. I've got some ideas.
You could have some singing. I've seen you dancing. Don't you dance on TikToks and stuff?
I think we'll just keep that for the pub. So I'm writing a show at the minute.
Yes.
And this is the first time that I'll have written a full-length show. So what should advice, have you got like a go-to place or a routine or something that you do to get the ball rolling?
Yes. I procrastinate for a long time.
Perfect. Perfect. That's where I'm at the minute.
I read lots of comedy books and ways to do it. No, what I find is that as soon as I book the show, then I start panicking.
Yeah.
Because it's there. So if a show's been booked and I know I've got this title, I'm going to have to work to it, it's great because it makes me write stuff.
Yeah.
And I find what I do is I'll maybe not even worry about writing funny at first. I'll just write what I want to say. I'll read lots of newspapers, lots of online stuff, see what's going on. And then usually I won't sleep very well. I'll wake up at 6 a.m. And then I'll start writing by hand.
At 6 a.m?
Kind of that time, yeah, because it just feels like nobody is awake,
I get that,
in the world kind of thing. But then the best times I find to write, because you'll be going back down the train to London, is on trains, because you can't put your telly on. Do you know what I mean? You're stuck. So that kind of, better than planes or buses, for some reason the train, just writing little things down.
Yeah. And so it just starts with, you just start with like ideas of what you want to say, and then from there you build jokes around it, or is it?
Yes, yeah. I'll sort of write a kind of rough draft thing of bits. Do you know what I mean? Different routines.
Yeah.
And then I'll kind of shuffle them about and think, oh, that would match with that one. And maybe even look on a big board, like with different Post-it notes, just because I like stationery. And you just sort of, I'll swap that pink one with the green one and the blue one. And you sort of look at them. And then I look at all the separate bits again, and then I punch them up and I go, that's not funny enough, that's not funny enough. I do sometimes also start from stories, like maybe something that happened to me on a holiday or when I was younger or something. And then I try and keep swapping it around so the story almost disappears and it's the punchlines, because the story's not as important as the laugh. Yeah. So these can help, but writing to a theme helps. And pressure.
Definitely
Which
need the
you're
pressure.
probably under now.
No, I get that.
You've got 4 months, which is, but the hardest. But to be honest, it's not the writing it; it's the then doing it, because
work in progresses.
It's not these jokes like when you do the Fringe. You do say 11 shows at a Fringe. That show is a different show from the first one you started. Yeah, like your 5 minutes you did at that. It's probably, if it was the 5 minutes you first did, it wouldn't have won, probably. Yeah,
probably,
but because
you hone it, don't you?
You do. Yeah. So what's the plan? You're gonna?
Yeah, I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and I'm going to
like Mark Wahlberg, by the way.
I think I'm actually the opposite. I think I work best late at night, so I'll be like nodding off.
Hey, that is my late night. I'm still up.
Yeah. But then it'll be like 3 a.m. I'll be like, I can write about this, and then
it does keep.
And then
awake.
You wake up the next morning and go, that's absolutely shit.
I know.
But yeah, I think I'm more creative between 12 and 3.
I'd like to be someone that wakes up every morning and
does 10 minutes a morning. Yeah,
I don't. I have to get it inspired or pressure.
And then, so what's the process? So if you've got the bare bones of a show,
right?
And do you then take that to work in progress shows and then see what works?
I will
see what
preview it as many times as I can, record it, watch it, take notes on it, and take notes as if you're watching somebody else.
Right.
That's not you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because the first time you go, why did I wear that? What am I doing?
It's
what
hard
am I doing
to
with my
be.
But then watch it again and you're somebody else. And you're just, and then you work in your jokes and don't be afraid to bin your babies. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That kind of thing.
Yeah. And do you ever write with anyone else, or is it always just a solitary?
It never works. I have at points, like, I mean, I suppose it's more casual, as in you'll go and see a comedian pal and they'll say, what about this? And usually, and you do it as well, actually, you do it yourself, that you see something from the outside they haven't seen, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Sometimes, like a good pal, or like my husband, will just say, what about this? And you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to work the whole set around that line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a bit of a weirdo because I actually hate people that I know coming to see me. I don't know why. I've just
yeah.
even not just in stand up, but in everything. And it's bad because my friends are so supportive. My family's ridiculously supportive. They come even when I ask them not to.
Oh, really?
And I don't know why I'm like that, because they're always got my best interests at heart, and they
Yeah.
always want to just come and support. But I just want them to always see the like finished product and like the best that it can be, which it's never going to be that.
Are you like that? Are you a perfectionist? I mean, are you
Not really.
Not
No,
really,
I don't
but
know
you
what
just-
it is. It's
yeah,
just
just family.
Yeah, I think so. But I probably should, be a bit more open to that, because it tends to be people that that have those kind of ideas for you that.
Yes. Although my mum had never seen me till last week, after all the years I've been in comedy.
Really?
Yeah. And only because she wanted to see someone else on the bill. Sorry, just
That's brilliant. That is fantastic.
I know.
My mum's the opposite. She's the front row, and I'm like,
oh,
sake.
yeah. No, I'm worried. I don't even want her to know I've had sex.
Well, this is it. It depends on the subject that you're talking about as well. It's like you're not really want to look
Yeah.
into your granny when you're talking about your whatever.
But I think that's I do find as well, and it's something I try to get away from, is that I sometimes do get people in my head, like that are in the audience.
Yeah, when you know that someone's going to be in.
Because you know you can do it and it's fine.
Yeah.
But just now and again, it's just someone gets in your head, like
Yeah.
my mum.
Yeah,
last
yeah.
week. Yeah.
That's brilliant. I can't believe that.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah. So what made you apply for So You Think You're Funny? That you won?
I just heard everyone talking about it. I didn't, before I'd started stand-up, I didn't know what it was. And when I was in Glasgow last year and I'd done a few gigs, and everyone was talking about this So You Think You're Funny competition.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is it? So I went home and I looked into it, and I seen all the things that you get from it.
Yeah.
I'd seen like all the previous winners and the careers that they'd went on to have, and I thought, looks like a good thing to get on board with.
That's
So
brilliant.
so I applied in January this year from my sick bed, because I'd got really unwell over Christmas.
Oh, man.
And I was supposed to go back down to London like 2 weeks before I did. So I was at home just on the couch feeling sorry for myself, sick. And I thought, I'm going to apply for this, and then I'll feel like I've done something productive. It's not been a complete waste of a week. And then I did my first heat in Angel Comedy Club in London.
Right.
That was like May time, I think. And I feel really bad because I think I was on second last or something. And I was so nervous. I don't think I'd ever been that nervous for anything, any show, anything.
Yeah.
I was shaking, and I was off at the side, and everyone else was coming off and going, "Oh, well done, that was so great," to like everyone else that had been on. I hadn't even been watching. I hadn't been listening to anyone. I was just in the corner, like going over what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And so we all went for a drink after it, and everyone was like, "Oh, I love the bit when you done this and you done that," and I was like, "Oh, I love the bit where you came on as well." I couldn't quote anything because I was just in my own head.
Did you get more nervous as you went through the levels, like the semi-final?
I think so,
the
yeah.
heats?
Yeah. I thought that was
yeah.
the most nervous. And then the final, yeah. Because at the final as well, I had loads of people there that was really kind of them all to come.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was so nervous. And again, same thing. Couldn't take in what anyone else was doing.
Maybe that's the way you need to be. Just get into a zone.
Yeah. But I'd like to be, like, do you think you're at the point now where you can just go to a gig and enjoy it, and it's a night out and you're just there with people that you know? Because I still get so nervous, and I feel like I can only enjoy the gig once I've been on, and then I can sit and watch
I'm
everyone
similar.
else.
I definitely still, it's not, awful nerves, but I definitely get nerves. Like it's like an excited anticipation.
Yeah.
It's because I think it's important, and,
Yeah.
and it's a job, and
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to do it well, and I never want to do
Yeah.
a bad gig.
Yeah.
So I think if your nerves go away, then you worry. I think when you realise I'm supposed to be nervous because this is something, but then I just say to myself, but I'm also looking forward to telling people what I'm
Yeah.
wanting to talk
Yeah,
about,
yeah.
and I know I've practiced the set and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because you MC a lot as well.
Uh-huh.
So, how do you prepare for if you're doing an MC spot rather than like
So-
your own?
What I used to do when I emceed in this room years ago, and I found it so stressful, I bought Sunday papers, read them,
Right.
tried to write new stuff, tried to learn it, tried to do it every Sunday to the point that I hated Sundays. And then I realised I could just talk to people, see what it triggers, and say something. And how I now prepare is if it's a gig I've done a lot, I'll look at what I did last time there. I'll try and write it down. So I'll think, right, if there's people there, I'll try this material. If I don't say enough on stage from the audience, so I've got like stuff in my mind.
So have you got like a wee back catalogue of, so if you say, oh, what do you do for work? And they reply with something, and you've maybe got something in the locker that you can be like, oh, well, actually, I've got a bit on this.
Sometimes, usually most time, things like, what do you do for work? I'll maybe just vibe. Said the vibe.
Got the vibes.
I'll try and improvise off what they're saying. But if they said something that does sort of link to something I've got material in, then you kind of say it as if I've just made this up on the spot. And how
funny you say that.
How scripted does this
5
sound?
minutes about this?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Because I haven't done any MCing yet, and it terrifies me. Just the thought of you being in charge of like the whole, and just talking to people, and then because at least, I mean, it's scary enough when you know what you're going to be saying, but I think when you're like doing crowd work, it's just another level
I think when you start as an MC, there's nothing wrong with doing more material, because the audience still have to know what comedy material is, because if you do loads of crowd work, they'll want the acts to do crowd work. I always do a wee bit of materials. But when you first start, you can do your set and break it up and do bits, talk to people. But the best advice someone ever gave me was, they said to me, it says, even when you're not funny, you're nice. And on stage as an MC, and I thought, actually, that's quite freeing. So I stopped worrying, and I just thought, as long as people like me, and they know things coming up, and if I don't, I'm not funny, I'll bring out a bit of material. You know, it's so...
Yeah, actually, I've never thought about it like that, because that...
You've just got to do it, haven't you? You've just got to...
Yeah. So you teach stand-up.
Yes.
So what's the best part of teaching stand-up to newcomers, if you get any?
I love seeing, because a lot of people do my courses that just do it as a laugh or as a bucket list. And I love when you see people's eyes light up, like they've realised what they've achieved themselves that they didn't know they had.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Especially people that that aren't very confident or things like that. Or they're older. Get older people that are going, oh, I'm too old for this. You're not too old. But you get all different ages.
It must be so rewarding.
I do, I mean, sometimes it can be hard, but I think everyone's got the capability to be funnier. Maybe not funny, as in be a comedian, but they can certainly get the skills to become funnier.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favourite courses I ever did was the Glasgow International Comedy Festival, and they did one. They started one for women and people that identify as women last year, and they're doing one this year. And honestly, you couldn't have handpicked a nicer bunch of people. It was an absolute... I mean, all my classes have been nice, but there was something about... It just felt like I made like 16 new pals.
Oh, that's so nice.
And yeah, it was really good and supportive. So there is going to be one this year. I think it's not even open for application yet. It's going to be open soon. I think January. People can apply for it.
Fab.
And it's free as far as I know as well. And people get to do a gig at the end. And the thing is, if there wasn't a gig at the end of classes I teach, it would feel like, what are we writing for? You know, so this, like you having a show coming up, that pressure does bring it out. People that they've got
suppose
something.
if it's people that have never done stand-up before, then that's often probably their first time sharing stand-up with an audience.
Yeah,
so that's...
I think you've got less to lose as well, because you're still a punter when you do your first gig. You're just one of the audience that's got up.
Giving it a go.
As soon as you say you're a comedian, you've got to be funnier.
Yeah. I actually totally get that, because I think I was listening. I think the first couple of gigs that I'd done, I was like,
yes,
if this is a disaster, I'll never do it again.
Aye.
But then you get a bug for it and you want to do well in it, and then that adds a pressure, and then it's become, I get that.
Which is why the nerves continue a wee bit. Not bad nerves, but but there's a lady that did comedy here, and she was a clown for Jesus. That was her job title.
Right.
And she was being sick all up and down the stairs, and
from
before
nerves?
the gig, and she was in her 80s, poor woman.
Oh.
And she was being sick all up the stairs and all that. And the management at the time wanted to chuck. They says, "Who's the drunk people who's been doing this?" It was this 83-year-old woman.
Oh God.
And she was so nervous, and she was great as well.
She went up and done it though.
She did it, yeah. But I did feel like sometimes maybe
it's not worth it.
yeah. But to be honest, no matter how people feel before it, see after it, as you know, it's just that feeling.
It's totally, you stand in the wings sometimes and you think, what, this is self-inflicted. Why am I doing this to myself?
I
What,
know,
what have I put myself in this position for? But then you go up and you're like, okay.
And then you talk to yourself, do you? And think, well, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah,
They don't laugh.
totally.
It's like,
Totally.
but you do find sometimes you do gigs, and if you don't make the audience laugh, they hate you. Like, you have done the worst thing. How dare you not make me laugh?
Yeah.
It's like you 1 minute you're like, you're amazing. Another minute's like,
Pitchforks.
I know. Susie McCabe did my course way back in, I think she was about 2011. But I remember when she walked in and I just thought, oh, I like her. Because she just had a sort of swagger and a smile and she was funny right away. Des Clark did it. Like, he was about 17 when he did it. And Des McLean, he was in the same class. Mark Nelson, Jay Lafferty, Reverend Obadiah, Billy Kirkwood,
Wow, they're all...
Billy Connolly. No, of course not.
Wow, that's amazing.
I'm 95.
I know, I was going to say, I think he's a bit... but that's amazing because they've all went on to have, I mean, they're like stand-up comedian, that's their careers now. And
I know, without me they wouldn't be. I'm kidding.
No, well, but you've
only
planted
kidding.
that seed.
Please don't keep it. No.
Hell.
I would say most of them came funny. But it just, like anything, you do a course, you're coming week by week, you've got an assignment to fulfill, you're with like-minded sort of inspired people and people that want to be comedians. And I actually find the ones that become comedy pals in a group, because I remember particularly Billy Kirkwood's the year he was with Mark Nelson, Jay Lafferty, and there was others as well. And they were like a gang, and they sort of started the wee clubs and they did things. And I think that helps you keep going. And I think you need a certain bit of intelligence as well, that people like, that just work hard and they learn and they watch other people and they learn from it. And there'll be someone I missed out who's doing really well, who's like...
But you're saying people like watching other people. Was there anyone that you looked up to in stand-up that you would watch and kind of be inspired by?
Probably loads and loads of them. I get quite inspired by people like Mark Thomas, like people that I'm nothing like, that he does political humour and he's like bringing these issues to the public, but he does it funny, but he's also making a point, and he's gone and taught comedy in Palestine and things like that. He's incredible. And I sort of really admire him. Like Stu Hu, who sadly passed away earlier this year, and he just had this work ethic. He worked in comedy for years, and he was always writing new stuff, and he was always listening to the sounds and music that young people were into and reading things that I wasn't. And he was like 20 years older than me, and I was just thinking. So I think being open to things, and I would say actually as well as anytime you do a gig, London's different because you double up more, but certainly if you're not doubling up, watch the whole gig. I think you should always watch the whole gig.
I always do. I always stay to the end just to see, because I just think everyone that you watch, you can't lose anything from watching it. You know, you can only take stuff away from it. So I always say and just watch everyone just to see what everyone's doing. And I think as well, I still find it so fascinating how different so many people are. I mean, there's so many styles and like subject matters that people talk about, and there's just such a range. I mean, you can have like 5 or 6 comedians on the one night, and
definitely.
they're all totally different, talking about different things, and hopefully still get the same audience reaction, even though, you know, humour's subjective and it's not going to be for everyone's not going to be for everyone. But
who do you admire then? Have you got comedians that you looked up to? Or?
Stand-up ones? Viv G.
I knew you.
And everyone that you've taught, Billy Connolly. Stand-up. God, I really should have answered for that.
It's a hard one to answer.
But that's what I mean. I don't think I have like a favourite stand-up or a favourite style. I just admire the full thing. Scotland's full of hilarious people, hilarious women. I think women, especially in Scotland, have got a unique sense of humour. I mentioned Catherine Tate earlier.
Oh yes,
it's funny because I thought I'd had a really bright idea by venturing into stand-up after drama school, but turns out loads of people have done it. I thought I'd just come up with this. But she spoke about how she went to drama school, she started doing stand-up, and she was able to merge the two because she'd always been told that she was funny, but she
Right.
wanted to be an actress, but she wanted to write her own stuff, and stand-up was the kind of glue that held it all together.
Ah, right.
And it's funny that I was like, I watched her since I was like 10, before I even knew what stand-up was.
Yeah.
But I was just had felt that kind of natural like connection to what she'd done, and I think, you know, loads of people have done it since. Before my time, people like Victoria Wood and Julie Walters and all those kind of people, and yeah, like more recently, I mean, Aisling B, she won Sweet Think It Funny, and
Yeah,
she's
she did,
managed
didn't
to
she?
write her own stuff.
I'm going to ask you the question, right, that we've not asked each other yet, because you get asked at every interview you ever do,
Yeah.
as you know, right? How does it feel to be a woman in comedy?
It's amazing. I think, I mean, now there's so many women in comedy.
Yeah.
And it's great because it's as it should be. There's, I think what it is there's so many more women doing comedy now than there ever has been.
Yeah.
But there is still a lot more men doing it.
Yes.
And I don't know why that is. But I think I think we are kind of moving in the right direction, and that is balancing out. And I don't know, I mean, what was your experience when you started?
Well, I want to ask you, right, because I bet after a gig, someone's come up to you, and it's sometimes a woman actually, usually a man, and he says, I don't really like female comedians, but I like you.
Yeah.
You've had that, haven't you? You're like, and you're supposed to go, thanks, but it's like, I think.
I haven't, and you get that now. We were talking earlier about like social media. So there was a wee clip put on of me on social media, and loads of the comments were about, not loads of them, but there was some comments about kind of, oh, I don't usually find female comedians funny, but this is funny. And it's like, I don't know whether I've been naive in thinking that that's not a thing anymore, but it clearly is still a thing, and I've just...
It is, sadly. I mean, like when I first started, there were less women doing it.
Yeah.
And I remember a guy introducing saying, I would. And this was like, now I'm hoping someone would. Oh God, just say it again. But or they'd say, and it's a woman, and you're like, what? But I think the saddest thing is I never get to meet people like yourself enough, because they think, oh, we've got a woman on the bill, so you don't meet the other women.
Yeah,
do you think that still?
Yeah, like quite often I've been the only woman on a bill.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's. I don't know whether there's a misconception that being a woman is a theme or it's a subject.
It is, isn't it? It's a strange one.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly when I was starting, people weren't even thinking about token women because there wasn't enough women to be a token woman.
Yeah.
So it was just, if you got, it was like, well, we've got a woman this week.
Yeah.
Like,
and do you think there is a difference in, not standards, but if a man comes onto the stage and if a woman comes onto the stage, do you think there's a different audience reception?
Do you know, it's not as bad as it was, but it still happens that you go on stage and you see someone at the front going,
here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And certainly when I was younger, that you'd get women in the front row like this, and the men like, or do you know what I mean? It wasn't like,
it's never
so
about
you had
the
to get past that to get the funnies. Yeah.
But do you think that's, you can also play up to that or play into that? If you know, I think there's a power in knowing that is some people's perception.
Yes, they think I'm going to be shite.
Yeah.
I'll prove I'm not.
Yeah. And there's a power in that.
There is. I agree. You just got to use it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully it works.
I know.
It doesn't backfire.
Yeah.
Talking about being women on stage, and obviously I think there's differences in the way that women are perceived.
Yes.
Is that something you think about just in terms of like what you wear on stage or what you look like?
Certainly in my 20s, I thought about it, and I wouldn't wear, a nicely fitted dress or a skirt or something like that. But now I see much more women wearing all different things, and they just own it because it's them. And I feel the same. I've never really been a dress wearer anyway, so what I wear suits my material.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think it's nice to see women wearing like short skirts or, you know what I mean, low top or whatever, because it's just like, yeah, this is me. This is what I'm talking about. And I think I've seen more of that, I would say.
No, that's interesting.
I think you definitely have to think about what you wear anyway on stage, regardless. just in sense of you don't want to look like everybody else, but at the same time, you want to represent you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do
no,
you? What do you think about it?
I'm thinking about it now that we've brought it up, and I don't know if subconsciously, because I've never worn anything that's like that I would wear on a night out on stage
Right,
kind of
okay,
thing.
yeah.
And I don't know if that's been a subconscious thing, because I do think that I approach comedy in a much more, not masculine, but like I think I need to come on with a bit of bravado so that they
Right.
don't eat me up.
I used to think that's weird. I used
I-
to think like that. It was in my head. I would be swearing in my
yeah.
like as if I had
Yeah,
to.
and I'm hoping that kind of dies out once
Uh-huh.
you
I think
become
it
more
will.
confident in yourself to not have to do
Yeah,
that.
that's interesting actually.
But yeah, I've never. Yeah, maybe the next gig I'll just come out and
Naked.
that's a power move for sure.
That I couldn't do.
I will never. No.
No, never. So, Alana, what are you doing at Glasgow International Comedy Festival?
I'm going to be doing a kind of work in progress of
Uh-huh.
the Edinburgh show that I'm going to be doing in August, and by the time that March comes round, it's going to have a name, and I'm going to know what I'm doing in it. But for now, I can't say anything else.
Is this your first hour?
Yeah.
The great thing about that is that you've got the world to pick from, your material, from your life.
Yeah.
That is
I know,
brilliant.
it's exciting. It's exciting.
I'm kind of wishing I was doing a show now talking to you, but I'm not going to do a show. I'm going to do lots of different shows at Berlinkies where I host comedy nights.
Nice.
So there's going to be comedy there and stuff like that. And then there'll be
Brilliant.
the women doing the
course.
comedy workshops
Yeah,
as well.
brilliant,
So
fantastic, yeah.
hopefully I'll see you.
Yes.
See you at a
definitely.
venue, yeah.